Hi, I'm John Rivers from Four Rivers Smokehouse, and today I'm going to show you how to make a coffee rub for ribs. Today we're talking about two of my very favorite things. I love beef and beef ribs, big, thick, hunkin' ones like this that are like kind of Flintstone-y feeling, and I love coffee. If it doesn't matter what time of day it is or at night it is, I think I'm immune to coffee at this point. So being able to put these two together in one piece of meat, one dish, is just absolutely heaven for me. So before we even get to the ribs, it's important, what we want to do, we want to go ahead and make our rub. Now, a rub that goes on beef is very different from a rub that you're going to put on pork. With pork, you're thinking sweet and sugars and brown sugars, but you know, the easiest thing that I tell folks when you're looking at a rub for beef, put on it what you would put on your steak at home or steak at a nice restaurant. You're really not going to put a lot of brown sugars and other products like that on there. You want to keep it really simple. So for me, a beef rub is simply a nice grind of pepper. I'll use a fresh pepper on that. Kosher salt, so I'm using 1 part pepper, 1 part kosher salt. Okay, now if you're going to put coffee in it, I'll use about a 1/4 part coffee. Now I like a nice steep, rich coffee that drives a lot of flavor. Now coffee has a lot of bitterness to it, so you have to offset that bitterness with brown sugar. So I'll use about a 1/2 part brown sugar against a 1/4 part coffee, 1 part pepper, 1 part salt, and I'll put just a little bit of granulated garlic in there just to give it a little depth of flavor and mix it up really good. And a lot of times people hear coffee grinds in particular and putting it on steak and in beef, and that first reaction is, oh, that's awful. But I'll tell you what, coffee and coffee grinds in particular just give such a depth of flavor. It just gives us so much richness. We have a bakery in our stores too, and I use a lot of coffee and coffee grinds in a lot of our chocolate dishes. And I'll tell you, you don't taste it, it's not overwhelming, but it adds such a unique flavor, and it just brings so much depth to whatever you're making. So I've got my rub, I've got it mixed up really, really good because you don't want any clumps in there. And all I'm going to do is I take the entire rib rack here of beef, and you can see it's really nice and big and thick, and just go ahead and put it on. Now, different from pork, I'm very, very liberal with my rub on beef. And I put it on, and I put it on thick because primarily, look how much meat that you have to cover. Unlike a thin rub on a pork, which has just a little bit of meat, if you put too much rub, it's going to dominate the flavor. But the beef is wonderful, it's big, it's thick cut. You want to cover all of it all the way around, and then you want to cook it any way that you like, in the oven, on the grill, or my particular favorite, especially with a big thick cut like this, is go ahead and throw it in the smoker for a few hours, and it comes out just wonderful. And you see how thick that is, and you see how much covered I have it. You can pat it on there if you want to. If you got time, you can let this sit overnight, wrap it up in some nice cellophane, and all the salts and the peppers will just permeate the meat and come out when you smoke it. But if you're in a hurry, go ahead and throw it in the smoker like this, and you'll be absolutely fine. So there it is. You got your beautiful, big, thick cut beef ribs. You're going to smoke these. You got a wonderful rub on the outside. It's got nice coffee flavor, salt and pepper, just a touch of garlic. Really, it's perfect combination between coffee and beef. Throw it in the smoker for a while, and you really enjoy it. Comes out fantastic. So good luck to you at home. Easy to do, and I know your friends and your guests will really like it. Thanks a lot. I'm John Rivers from Four Rivers Smokehouse.